It's completely natural to feel so overwhelmed by everything going on in the world and trying to stay on top of our personal lives in the process. But the Virgo full moon is here to remind us of our agency. The Virgo full moon culminates on March 18th amidst go with the flow and trust the process Pisces season. The Virgo full moon is our cosmic reminder that the attempt to create order amidst chaos is actually a human survival skill. I'll never forget the Virgo full moon of 2020, and I'm sure most astrologers won't, because that's when we saw, and we know Virgo and actually Pisces too, have actually hypochondriac tendencies. And it's because they worry and they want to create a sense of order. And so around the Virgo full moon of 2020, we saw this grassroots movement going around the internet of here's how we wash our hands to try to combat this rapidly spiraling outbreak, basically. And we're still in it. So the Virgo full moon here just has that imprint on my brain, and it always will. But full moons are all about polarity and finding the balance. So if Virgo is a sign that craves order and efficiency and organization, Virgo is a sign that wants to show up and help. How can I help you? How can I make things run smoother? And their mind is always ticking around it too. Whereas Pisces want to just vibe. Pisces wants to just kind of be in the feels and go with the flow of what their body and spirit are telling them to do. Pisces is a sign that wants to go with the flow and keep the faith and trust the process. So this full moon is going to highlight that polarity, and we actually really need both, because when we have too much of that Virgo quality going on, we can worry and we can obsess and we can fixate, and the brain just never slows down, and it can kind of circle in sort of a unproductive way. It ends up being unproductive when you just go over and over and over. So Pisces is sort of the archetype that reminds us to just breathe, trust the process, and let things sort of work out for themselves, because you're going to just waste energy when things are constantly changing. This is a mutable polarity that reminds us about fluctuation. Everything is constantly changing. So personally, I have a personal connection to this polarity because I recently became a mother. My daughter's almost 2. And I find myself trying to tidy as she's just destroying the house, destroying the playroom. And tidying gives me a sense of order, a sense of control over the situation. But I've learned that sometimes it's best just to let her go. And that way I can be more present with what she is creatively and curiously getting into, and just sort of trust the process. And I've had to do that Pisces thing where I have to let go. I'm not going to get all my work done that I wanted to do in one day. I'm going to fall behind. I have to leave space in my schedule to leave space for surprises. For example, I have yet another cold. If you are a regular listener, then you're familiar with that theme by now. It's kids. So I've had to just kind of surrender, and it's helped a lot. But there may come a time where I need to go in Virgo mode and say, we need to get a babysitter one day a week, or you got to go to preschool, hun. So we need to find that balance, and we need to remain flexible to find that balance. The full moon is going to be ruled by Mercury in Pisces. I just released a video on Mercury in Pisces, but in the context of mundane astrology, this could be seen as potentially challenging. This could actually be a sign of overwhelm, feeling kind of overwhelmed. Now, Mercury does form a sextile to Uranus, inviting in brilliance. And it just makes me think of how things are in constant fluctuation, and we should be ready for more surprises. And actually, it might even open a window for us to make a change that maybe we weren't so ready to do in this moment right now, but we're going to take advantage of that opening to move something along that we thought we would maybe do later. And that is really apt, because I'm thinking about this ruler of Mercury in the ocean sign of Pisces in a sextile to Uranus, which can be a little anxiousness, just feeling overwhelmed, like you just have more and more and more and you just can't stay on top of it. I know I've shared this week, the planets are all moving direct. Things are moving very fast. It can be difficult to feel like we have a handle on things, especially with all this Pisces energy, where we'd rather just kind of be floating. But Uranus actually lights a little bit of a fire and helps us to stay on our toes and to think quickly and to think creatively, because Mercury in Pisces is actually really emotionally fluent, and it's also very artistic and creative in just a non like, I guess, neurotypical way of just being sort of on top of things. Mercury in Pisces has its own sort of artistic, go with the flow, trust the process, and we'll figure it out. The other component of this full moon that is very interesting to me, and I don't always pay attention to the minor aspects, but this one, the full moon is the focal point of a configuration known as Thor's hammer. It's making two sesquiquadrats, 135-degree aspects down to the Venus-Uranus square. And in relationship to the full moon, I'll do another video on that one for you all, but in relationship to the full moon, I see this relating to the financial issues that we're having. So inflation keeps kind of increasing. We're seeing gas prices go up. A lot of that is because of the sanctions on Russia. And yeah, that's driving up the price of gas. And I think that Venus, we're going to talk more about this in the next video, she is what we call besieged right now. She's between two malefic planets, Mars and Saturn. Mars keeps kind of backing her into a corner. It just reminds me of what's going on in Russia right now. Whether we're talking about how the governments are treating each other, it's sort of like a technological warfare, but thinking about the citizens too, and how this is threatening to tank their economy, and how that could, I mean, Venus is very much finances. And I see the square from Uranus as a jailbreak attempt, a cyber attack. It's like a rat in a cage kicking and fighting to get out. Uranus is rebellion, and Venus is finances. So I see there being some sort of rebellion related to the financial situation. We could see that here too, where there's cyber attacks to kind of drive down the price of something or to adjust the prices. I definitely think that cyber attacks is going to be a strong component around the full moon and thereafter, because the full moon is going to set the theme for 2 to 4 weeks following. So I think that that's something that we're definitely going to see, with Venus being in the technological sign of Aquarius. And also it's sort of a vigilante aspect. Venus in Aquarius square Uranus, and it's definitely funneling into this Virgo full moon that where we're feeling that the pressure is on, we have to do something. The Virgo full moon is also in a trine to resourceful Pluto. So there's something about gathering resources and affecting one's power in a big way. So we could think about how we might be able to channel that energy in our personal life. Where are we feeling overwhelmed about something? Is there an action that we can take to get a handle on something? I find that sometimes it's just doing something. Sometimes it's just taking one step toward getting a handle on something, so that then you're not marinating on it and it's dominating your psyche day in and day out. This Virgo full moon is an opportunity for you to take a chance on something, to just do the damn thing with that kick from Uranus, whether it's about your own financial situation with Venus, or whether it's part of a relationship component, or whether it's related to something else completely different, depending on where this is happening in your chart. So that's a little bit about the full moon in Virgo. And the other one I noticed is that I saw a headline that Russia is thinking about leaving the World Wide Web, decoupling from it, was what the tweet said. I thought that was interesting, because we are in the internet's Saturn return, and I don't believe we've ever seen a country just be like, you know what, bye. And Saturn in Aquarius, I think, is thinking about boundaries in the technological world. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. That is actually a very Venus square Uranus thing, to just be like, you know what? We're not going to participate anymore if we're going to be treated like this. Not saying I'm taking sides with anyone here. I'm just saying that's how I'm reading the astrology, which of course, if you're an astrologer, you have to be able to read the astrology from all angles, how anyone on the planet might be experiencing this energy. So it's interesting to see what's going on. I do feel bad for the people who are living in Russia and are being cut off from everything. My heart also really goes out to the people in Ukraine who have had to flee and are in a war zone. You know, while we're in this Pisces season, I'm just going to say my heart goes out to anyone who's experiencing suffering by no fault of their own and by fault of your own, because gosh, that's hard to admit. I could go on a whole 12th house tangent about that, but I will cap it right there. And that was your Virgo full moon astrology shot of the day. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. Book your next astrology reading with me by visiting my website, where you can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on courses, events, and new articles. Bye.